welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Bethany and I am a nutritional therapy practitioner. And if you are not new, then I'm going to be sharing some educational information today about acne and how to kind of diminish your acne naturally. And lastly, if you found me from my How I Healed My Acne Naturally video, I'm so glad you found me. Today I'm going to be elaborating on that a little bit more. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and educational and informative. So I have my laptop with my notes to make sure I hit all the big points and get through this, but hopefully this will be helpful to you. So like I mentioned earlier, if you found my page through my How I Healed My Acne Naturally video, I hope that if anything, you took away from that video that there are alternative ways to diminish acne, and you don't always have to do the Accutane or the medications or the harsher stuff if you don't want to. I really, at the bare minimum, when I made that video over 3 years ago now, I really just wanted to share my story so that people knew that alternative and more holistic approaches did work if they didn't want to do the medication route. But number one, I want to emphasize that I was not a nutritional therapy practitioner when I filmed that video. So I still do get questions and comments and DMs and whatnot from people who found me on that video. And I was not a practitioner when I filmed that. So that video was just me sharing my story. I was working with a naturopath at the time. So I was the client, I was just listening to my practitioner and following her lead and did the things that she told me to do. And I was just sharing my story with what worked for me. And that leads me into bio-individuality. So as a practitioner myself, when I work with clients, we focus on bio-individuality, which essentially means what works for you might not work for me, and what worked for me might not work for you. Everyone's different. Everyone has different health history, family history, struggles, different symptoms. Everyone's different. And so different protocols it's not a one size fits all scenario. And that's where working with a practitioner is helpful because they can customize what's going to work for you. And kind of in that same lane, what supplements worked for me might not work for you. I had leaky gut and I had food sensitivities. You might not have food sensitivities. So that's kind of where working with a practitioner comes in handy because bio-individuality is key to finding the root causes of your symptoms and being able to tackle things like acne. So let's get into acne. These are all the things that I kind of wish people knew about acne, especially when it comes to the root cause approach, and everybody's different and kind of finding different avenues of what's going to work for you. So first things first, acne can have so many different root causes internally. And there are some things topically that can affect your skin too. But I will say, in today's world, a lot of people think that acne is only like an external thing and that it's only about pore clogging ingredients and that it's only about like your topical serums and stuff that you use. But if you've been here for a minute or if you've watched my videos, we know that it's not always just topical. We know that normally there is something internal going on. So the first root cause I want to talk about is blood sugar regulation. So when we talk about blood sugar regulation, most people think of diabetes. That's normally when we hear about blood sugar and insulin and all these different terms is in relation to diabetes. But did you know that poor blood sugar regulation, whether you have diabetes or not, that is the first domino to fall when it comes to your endocrine dysfunction. So poor blood sugar regulation over time will lead to the hormonal dysfunction in the body, which can lead to things like hormonal acne. So this is something that I talk about, especially on my Instagram page. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I share a lot of daily education and reels and stuff like that on Instagram, but I usually call it blood sugar acne instead of hormonal acne because even though your hormones might be kind of out of whack, blood sugar, if you go one step further, poor blood sugar regulation is what can trigger the hormonal dysfunction. And two, if you're unfamiliar with blood sugar, which I was until I went back to school and learned about all of this, when you eat something like carbs or sugar and it turns into glucose, glucose is your blood sugar, and when your body sees this sugar in your bloodstream, your pancreas will release insulin, and insulin is supposed to take that sugar out of the bloodstream and shuttle it into your cells. So essentially insulin kind of knocks on the door of your cells and says like, hey, will you let this sugar in? Like we need to shuttle it into the cells to get it out of the blood. So that's essentially what blood sugar is. And what happens is that if you were to eat like a slice of cake on an empty stomach, for instance, your blood sugar is going to rise. And normally when we eat things by themselves like that, when we eat carbohydrates, which are your starches, fiber, and sugars, when we eat carbs by themselves, the blood sugar spike is stronger. So your blood sugar raises a lot quicker and it causes a more dramatic spike. Whereas if you were to eat carbs with proteins and fats, which if you've been here for a minute on my channel, you know that I try to do that and I encourage y'all to do that. When you eat carbohydrates with fats and proteins, the fats and proteins kind of curb and lessen that spike. So instead of having a strong spike in your glucose, it's more of like a steady little like curve, like a little wave. You're always going to have kind of these ups and downs based on when you're eating throughout the day. But a glucose spike is more so going to happen when you eat carbohydrates by themselves. So not saying that they're bad by any means, but if you eat them by themselves, it can just cause a stronger glucose spike compared to if you ate them with fats and proteins. So when you have this spike, your pancreas releases all the insulin and tries to get that glucose out of your bloodstream really fast, and then it does its job, and it does its job really well. So then we've got almost no sugar and no glucose in our bloodstream, and then our blood sugar plummets. And that's when you can start to feel hangry. Maybe you get headaches in between meals or headaches before your next snack or your next meal. You can feel like the lightheadedness. Some people get shaky. This is where some people, when they struggle with low blood sugar and they struggle with this, that's when they'll faint if your blood sugar gets too low. And typically for a lot of people, this is also when they will yet again crave a sugar or a carb to try and raise their blood sugar back up. So you've got people reaching for, that like midday coffee, a second coffee, a third, a fourth, because now it's plummeted. They're trying to get it back up. But your adrenal glands are actually part of your blood sugar regulation process. Your adrenal glands will pump out cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and adrenaline and noradrenaline. And so by releasing this cortisol and adrenaline little cocktail, it'll shoot it back up. So essentially when the adrenals have to come and kick in, over time, poor blood sugar regulation can affect the adrenals, which will then affect the pituitary gland, and then that can affect your thyroid and then your reproductive hormones. So there's kind of this domino effect of like poor blood sugar is kind of the first thing to fall, and it's kind of this waterfall effect. So blood sugar regulation is very important, and it's important for a lot of clients, and it is one of the things I see almost on everyone's nutritional assessment questionnaire, or the NAC as we call it, which I will explain a little bit later. It's one of the assessments that I use in my practice, but sugar handling and how you handle sugar and those kind of blood sugar symptoms are almost off the charts for a lot of people when they get their assessment back. So blood sugar regulation is really important, and that's a really important key to acne, especially if you think you have hormonal acne. Even further than the hormonal acne piece is blood sugar and poor blood sugar regulation that's going on. All right, the next one is digestion/gut health. So this is a big one, and if you think about it, it makes sense. So you could be taking all the best supplements, have the cleanest diet, be eating whole foods and nutritious foods, but if your digestive system is not able to properly break down nutrients and then absorb those nutrients, then there's really no point. So you have to have a properly functioning digestive system and a really healthy digestive system in order to really nourish your body well. And as far as acne goes, digestion can be a big part of acne for a few reasons. Number one is that you could have like food sensitivities and foods that you're sensitive to because of leaky gut. So foods could be seeping from your intestines into your bloodstream, essentially, if your intestinal lining is not really strong and tightly knit. If your intestinal lining is beginning to become damaged and kind of compromised, it can lead to food sensitivities. And there are a lot of people out there who have certain foods that they notice kind of affect their acne, and that's typically stemming from food sensitivities. That's kind of one area where like your digestion can affect your skin. But another big part is detoxification detoxification. So your body has 6 detox pathways, but your digestive tract and your urinary tract are 2 really important detox pathways. So your liver and gallbladder are accessory organs to the digestive system, and your liver has over 500 roles in the body. It's really important, but it also plays a role in digestion. And one of those things is your liver helps to detox your body. So if you have toxins in your body, your liver is going to take them and break them down and make them water soluble. From there, your liver is going to empty those water soluble toxins into your gallbladder where there's bile. So it's going to move those toxins from your liver into bile, and bile gets emptied into your small intestine. So after you eat food and it goes through your stomach, your food moves to your small intestine, and then bile gets released into your small intestine to help break down things like fat. So once it's there, bile mixes with the food that you just ate, and eventually it comes out, right? Eventually you'll have a bowel movement and the bile with those toxins should come out. However, if you're someone who is frequently constipated, or maybe you don't have a bowel movement every day, those toxins aren't getting eliminated at a very fast pace, and toxins can be recirculated in the body, and your body can reabsorb those toxins. So having a healthy digestive system is really important in your body's ability to detox. Now, your urinary system is also important because when your liver breaks down those toxins and makes them water soluble, some can also go out through your kidneys, and your kidneys will get rid of them. So eliminating toxins through your kidneys as well as bile and your digestive system are 2 of the most important ways. But let's say that your kidneys aren't functioning well and your digestive system's not doing that well, which was my case over 3 years ago. Those toxins might try to come out through your skin. And again, everyone's different, everyone's bio-individual, so that might not be your case. You could have a different root cause. Maybe it's not toxins, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's your blood sugar or your hormones. So those are a couple things that I want people to know about acne. When it comes to acne, there's a lot of different root causes. And this is where I think working with a practitioner one-on-one is really, really important to figure out your root cause, because I worked with someone when I was able to get my skin clear. I was working with someone who was guiding me through this process who knew a lot more than me. So I think working with a practitioner is so valuable and so worth it, especially if you're struggling with acne. I know how heartbreaking acne can be and how much of a toll it takes on your mental and emotional state and your confidence. It's not fun, and I totally understand that, and that's why I think working with a practitioner, if you wanted to work with me, great. But if you are looking to help your acne, clear your skin, and especially if you're looking to detox, I would highly recommend working with someone, because the last thing you want to do is take a random supplement or try to mobilize all these toxins, and now these toxins are trying to get pulled out of your system and then they have nowhere to go. You don't want to overburden your liver and your kidneys or have these toxins be stuck in your digestive system and then your body's just recirculating and it's reuptaking those toxins that you're trying to get out. You want to make sure that certain bodily functions are functioning before you start mobilizing toxins. And kind of along with that, one thing I see all the time is people wanting to take a supplement, or they buy the next best thing and they buy the supplements on Amazon, or they're influencer who doesn't have any certification or knowledge about maybe certain topics. They're just recommending a supplement or they're recommending something and it really might not work for you. And I do want to throw this out there that supplements can interfere with medications. So as a practitioner, we check all of your medications and we make sure that no supplements that we're recommending could interfere with your medication, because some can. And I have friends and family members who have done this, where they kind of see the flashy, shiny ad for a detox program or a supplement or this or that or the next best thing that's going to change their life, and this one thing's going to just radically improve their health, and it doesn't work. And to me, it's kind of like, well, yeah, like there's probably a lot going on that's very custom to you, not to everybody. So lastly, I know I mentioned earlier, there's a nutritional assessment questionnaire. This is an assessment that I run with all my clients. I call it the NAC. Most practitioners call it the NAC, but essentially the nutritional assessment goes through your upper GI function, your small intestine, large intestine, your liver, your gallbladder, your blood sugar handling, your adrenals, your hormones, like all of these different things. So it produces this graph that kind of tells me where your symptoms are stemming from and where we need to focus on your health And then typically after about 3 months, we will retake it, and then you'll see where your progress is. So for instance, this was one of my practice clients while I was actually in school, and the orange line is where she started, and then the blue line is where she was a few months after we started her protocol. So you can see where like all the markers started to come down, where she wasn't feeling those strong of symptoms anymore, and she was feeling a lot better, which was so exciting. So I just wanted to let you know that as I'm starting my own practice, I will give this to you for free, so you can get the NAC for free. If you fill out the form in the description below, a little sign up form, I will send you this NAC for free, so you can take your first round of it, and then you will also get a free 30-minute call with me to go over your symptoms and to go over this. And then if you think that nutritional therapy is the right thing for you, then we'll move forward with getting you on a plan and a protocol, and we'll put that in place. But if you're just curious about kind of seeing where things are and kind of seeing where your symptoms are, you can fill out the form in the description. You'll get the NAC for free, and then you and I will have a free 30-minute call. And then once we go over your results in your call, you can kind of decide for yourself if you think this is the path you want to take. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned a little bit of something. Comment down below if you have any questions. I'm going to leave my website and that sign up form in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.